everyone, how you doing? That was tough, right?
There's no need to yell.
No.
I know it's Friday, but there's no need to yell.
Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Freddie Hernandez, but you may know me as Tavarish if you're on the internet and looking for cheap and cheerful and exotic and fire damaged cars. Joining me is my partner in crime, my friend Andrew Howell,
Who is now deaf, and the rest of this episode you're going to have to do in sign language.
That's fine. I can't sign, but if you can read lips, then I'll make it super hard for you. You can see my lips? No? Good.
What?
Exactly. All right. So this is the Wrench Every Day podcast where we talk about wrenching, cars, and everything having to do with those two things, and sometimes other things.
And sometimes we come up with really good band names.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, we need to sort of get the band together. What's our band name called?
My favorite one is Mini Cooper Sidecar.
Mini Cooper Sidecar is an awesome. I feel like Mini Cooper Sidecar could be playing the Grammys. It's like one of those bands that,
You know what? Let's shoot for the Grammys.
sure.
Let's hold on. That's probably bad phrasing. Let's make our goal the Grammys.
Exactly. Let's make that the goal. All
Yes.
right. It's like one of those bands that you don't know if you're getting old or not, and it's like
Yeah.
Mini Cooper Sidecar. Like,
Is this an old band?
I guess
I heard this in Starbucks a few days ago.
it's like people are cheering, so I guess they know.
They're wearing tweed.
Some of them are wearing merch. Like, I don't know. I've never heard of this band before. I swear to God, they could literally invent a band the night before, have them play, and then people would be like, "Yeah, I know."
And now for the Grammys, we have German Shepherd Propane Bazooka.
I think that might be a little on the nose.
Okay.
But Mini Cooper Sidecar is definitely within that realm. As long as you have a very soft voice, it can be like Passenger, like that sort of. You have that.
That literally just sounded like Peter Griffin.
It might be Peter Griffin. My Passenger and Peter Griffin impression are exactly the same.
Like we get just like our band is just like us doing movie soundtracks in Peter Griffin's voice. So like we just get All right, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy Grammys. All right. So this podcast is about cars. And
cars.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So
Manual shifts.
Exactly.
We got to stick with our manual shifts.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what that's about, watch our last podcast.
Yeah. And every other podcast that we've ever put out.
Yes.
We know that you have the time.
Now available on SoundCloud and maybe iTunes. I don't know. I don't know at this point. Who knows?
Whatever. We'll put a link sometime.
Check the links below. That's where we're available.
Check those links.
Yeah. So
Zelda.
I was thinking, I had a question. I'm not sure if it was from email or something, but somebody posed a question, and if you're that somebody, you know who you are. They posed a question about what to look for in a car you're buying. And I know we've talked a lot about cars and stuff like that. We actually haven't talked about that. Like, what do you, when you're actually buying a car, like, what do you look for?
This varies from person to person.
No, of course. No, I'm not saying like what color a car or whatever. I'm saying, what do you look for?
Blue. I want blue.
What I mean is, let's say you're buying a used car.
Okay.
What are things you look out for to make sure that you don't get a lemon, you know?
Okay. First, I make sure that it is not a Mini Cooper
Okay.
or a Rotary.
Okay.
No, wait. I've done both of those.
Or a Lamborghini that has been singed, sort of.
Singed?
Singed.
Okay, so I guess, and again, these are for different people, but my criteria vary if I'm buying either from a private party or from a dealer.
Let's say private party, because most people are gonna like, they have some bartering and not bartering. They have some bargaining chips.
Okay,
and with dealers, they're they're most likely going to be able to hide some things a little
Right,
better, and they're not
right.
going to sell you a piece of crap just because of liability. So let's just talk about maybe a private party, like you find a car that you like on Craigslist or Auto Trader or something like that, and you just want to buy it just to make sure that it's good.
Okay, yeah. So you could start out by asking the seller, "Is this a piece of crap? Is it a liability?"
Hey, bro, it's a piece of crap.
You trying to do me in here? You trying to scam me?
You having a laugh?
What?
You having a laugh?
You having a giggle, mate? You what? For me, okay. So it's been a long time since I've bought a private party vehicle.
Well, I can tell you a few things because it's not been a long time since I bought a private
I
party
know
vehicle.
that. I know that for sure.
Yeah. So I can take the reins on this one if you want. I mean, you bought literally a car from end dealer. So you're like the enemy, man. How dare you?
But I've purchased more cars. Actually, no. I think I've only done 2 cars private sale.
Oh, really?
I'm running through.
So is that the RX-7 and the Lancer?
No,
Okay.
it was the Saturn and the Mini Cruiser.
And the PT Cruiser.
You don't have to say it so loud. Please don't say it so loud. Please.
Ye hear ye hear
Hear
ye.
ye, hear ye.
Yes.
This fool.
I have helped many a friend buy cars though in private party situations.
Okay, so here's what you want to look out for. Whenever you're looking for a car, you have to make sure that you know the common issues. So if I'm
yes.
looking for a car, I always Google it as far as the year, make, and model. Sometimes they have specific year, make, and model and specific engine common issues. And a good place to look these up are
Mini Cooper forums
Mini Cooper forums, because it's every other car is just
and Mini Cooper
in the Mini Cooper forums. No, just find forums for that specific car.
Yep.
There's actually automotive forums, which is like for every car, but they don't have.
It's not as specific.
It's not as specific.
Yeah.
So I would try the specific car forums. It's a really, really good knowledge hub.
Absolutely.
And if you just spend like a few hours there, and you can also ask, but you'll probably get kind of shot down. Read the stickies noob or something. Or use the search function. That also works. But first, know what you're getting yourself into, because sometimes the car that you want, maybe it's cheap, and maybe it's cheap for a reason. But sometimes it's cheap and people just think that it's for a reason, but the reason's not really that good. Because like for my S-Class, my first S-Class, my S500, it was cheap for a reason, but I fixed it for like $300.
Yep.
So it just takes a little bit of research and to know what to look out for. I would look for the basic stuff. So number one is just the outwardly appearance. Make sure that all the paint matches. Then again, if the person tells you that, hey, I had a fender bender and I painted some panel, all right, that's fine.
Well, there's also Carfax.
Carfax doesn't tell you a full story. So you can use a Carfax. Sometimes Carfax messes up.
That's fair.
And Carfax might return something as odometer rollback or possible odometer rollback. Let's say if you take it to a Jiffy Lube and they record your odometer incorrectly.
Right.
And they go, oh, well, there's a discrepancy here. So this might be points off your score if you use a Carfax auto check or whatever. And that could be not the best, right? Especially if you want to sell the car. So I'm not such a stickler for the receipts and work done. I know a lot of people are, and if you're not mechanically inclined, maybe you should do that. But if you're listening to this podcast, hopefully you will become mechanically inclined, and you don't really need to worry about that too much. But like major stuff, I'd like to see receipts for, just so I know where the baseline is.
Yep.
And if the baseline is there's no major stuff, then you also know where that is, and you can factor that into the price. But I would make sure that the paintwork is all good. I would look under the car, because a lot of people don't look under the car. It's weird. Like they don't even know what they're looking for.
Yeah. Rust.
So exactly. So you're looking for rust. Take out your phone. Take out your phone, and every phone now has a flashlight on it, right? They have a flash capability.
Yeah.
So use your flashlight, get under that car, and just check the tie rods, check the lower control arms, all that stuff, and see if there's rust. Now, surface rust is not that bad. Surface rust is most likely, it looks like, when your brakes stick around for a while and then like maybe it rains and you have those like little rust particles. That's what surface rust is. So for people that don't know what like real, car killing rust is and surface rust doesn't really matter. You can actually paint over that with some rust neutralizing spray.
You would kind of grind it back or sand it back.
You can sand it back. I'm saying if it's surface rust on like a metal surface, you can, worst case scenario, you can always get a rust neutralizing spray that turns it into a primer thing and you can paint over that, right? But if it's like car killing rust, this is stuff
stuff is like flaking off like a broken saltine cracker, get the heck away.
Exactly. if it looks like just a saltine cracker that's been through the business end of a toilet.
What kind of
It's brown and it's not a good color. It's like a really like a kind of bronzish brown, and it don't look good.
But it flakes off like a maybe a graham cracker. Graham cracker.
There you go.
Your chocolate graham cracker.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a Neapolitan cake.
What?
So you want to make sure that rust is nowhere to be found, and if it is, you want to make sure that you can, if you can't take care of it yourself, if you don't have that capability, have a mechanic look at it to see if this is terminal. Because sometimes it's like, oh, this is something that we can
cut out
fix.
and replace.
Yeah, cut out and replace it. Or there's common issues with rust in some cars. Like my MR2 has rust in the sway bars, like where the sway bar mounts up. For some reason, that gets water in it, and over time, that rusts out. So people, when they replace the sway bar bushings, they have to take out these bolts. But the bolts, since they're rusted away, they just come out. So you have to get that re-welded. So it's a little bit weird.
My coworker that has the Corolla FX 16, those cars have a very common rust issue where they get rust right above the right tail light on the tailgate.
Yeah,
for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird. A lot of 80s cars, a lot of 80s Japanese cars, they have very thin metal. Mitsubishis especially, they're very, very thin-skinned, and they didn't have very good rust prevention. Porsches have really good galvanization for their stuff, so you never want to see a rusty Porsche. Porsches are...
Can that be another band name, Rusty Porsche?
Rusty Porsche actually does sound good, but Rusty Porsche almost sounds like the lead singer of
Mini Cooper's
sidecar. That Rusty Porsche, doesn't it?
Yeah. Rusty. Oh, yeah, he's the lead singer of Mini Cooper Sidecar.
Yeah, but he sounds like he was the original lead singer. Then they found another guy, but the other guy quit after a few months on the road, and they got Rusty back.
Yeah.
So Rusty has some history.
Yeah.
He's a
put out a couple solo albums while he was away.
Maybe they didn't do as well as he wanted.
Yeah.
But he was he's back and he's doing his thing.
His phone number is really easy to memorize. 911.
Oh my god! All right, I love this.
We're committed to this bit now. This is the thing.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
One of my friends, we had this bit where we made this guy that this character that worked in Home Depot.
Okay.
His name was Jim Slovak, and he was like he was the saddest guy ever, but he was damn good at his job. Like he would cut you the perfect piece of lumber, but he also like his wife left him because he has like a gambling problem, but he waits till everybody's left the Home Depot and he sleeps like in the lumber section. And then everybody thinks he's just a really good employee, but like he just comes in super early. It's Jim Slovak.
What does he sound like when he talks?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Jim's I don't know. He's salt of the earth guy, so is not sure. We never got to that point, but I do know the horrible backstory. All right, so we're veering a little bit. So what you wanna see on a car is that it had been taken care of somewhat, right? You don't want to have a car that's a basket case in most respects. Now, what I look for is I want to make sure all the vitals are good. So things that could be a project killer, like a engine or transmission or something like that, that would be potentially very, very catastrophic if they went, like on this Lamborghini. If the engine and transmission goes, that's a lot of money I got to pay to get.
That's a lot of gabagool.
Exactly.
And now I know what that is.
Today I learned something. I learned it's a type of meat. Type of meat. So on the Lamborghini, I think the engine is like $50,000. It's like I think Ed Bolian had it priced out as like $53,000 for a Gallardo engine, and the transmission, I think it's another 25 or 30.
So you got a steal because you bought the whole car for 64.
I did.
With turbos.
With turbos and the car.
Oh yeah, the car came with it too.
and the car.
Nice.
So
those wheels.
The car was actually minus $10,000. Dude, just take it. It's worthless.
Buy the engine and tranny. We'll throw the car in for free.
I'll do you one better. I'll give you 10 grand. No. So yeah, that's really, really a big thing. So check the oil. Do the
basics.
Yeah, the basics.
Yep.
Have a napkin or a microfiber cloth or something like that. Just check the oil. Make sure it's on the level. Make sure that you do it when the car has been off for a while, because the oil is never going to read right if you just turn it off.
You always want to make sure that the car is cold when you first arrive. If they've been warming up the car, that's a sign that something could be wrong that they're trying to hide.
Sure. I have a thought on that because that could be true. That definitely could be true. Mm-hmm. If you turn on a car in the cold and then it smokes out the tailpipe, and then it just takes a while to, if it had bad valve seals, and it just takes a while to dissipate that. I don't tend to care about that much because I bought lots of cars like this Ford Explorer that I bought.
Ford Exploder.
The Ford Exploder, Dora the Explorer.
Dora the Exploder.
That's right. Well, I bought that car for $500, and that car was definitely running when I got there. And I didn't have any issues with it because I knew that there's probably some issues with this car. If a car is running when you get there, let's say, save for if it's really hot or really cold, sometimes it takes a while for it to heat up or whatever. That's fine. I would just make sure that there's no egregious smoke coming out of the tailpipe. If it's a blown head gasket, you can it happens on all temperature levels, and it's actually worse when it heats up. Mm-hmm. So take the car for a nice long drive. If everything's fine, it doesn't smoke out of the tailpipe. Keep in mind that if you're driving a car and there's a little bit of condensation coming out of the back, that's normal. But you have to drive it for a good, say, 20 minutes or something like that, and there should be nothing coming out of the tailpipe.
Right.
If there still is a lot of condensation coming out of the tailpipe and it smells sweet, then you got a blown head gasket. If you have blue smoke coming out, that's oil, and if you have black smoke, that's fuel, so it's running really rich. And the one you want is probably the black smoke. Yeah. Because that just means like probably an O2 sensor or sensors out or something like that, or an injector stuck open, something stupid. But head gasket is definitely a no-no, unless you're fine with that and you're fine with replacing an engine or you're fine with doing a head gasket. I tend to shy away from stuff like that. Make sure that the transmission goes into all the gears. If it's a manual, make sure you upshift and downshift through the gears, because sometimes the synchros could be bad. And what's weird is that synchros could be bad sometimes at the very top of the rev range. Mm-hmm. So they might go in fine when you're driving it, but then like if you do a little bit of a spirited run, they can, they can start to grind a little bit. Sometimes it's savable with like good fluid, because if the fluid hasn't been changed in a while, then you might be able to save it, but
red line training fluid.
That's what I'm putting in my Lambo. Yes. Yeah, Redline MTL. Yep.
So good.
Yeah, it's very, very good. I used Redline in my Maxima when I had my Maxima.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, that was like.
I think I might eventually do Redline fluids in my car once.
And Redline is not a part sponsor.
They're not. They're not. They just make really good stuff.
I bought a bunch of stuff.
Yep. I'm also a big fan of Marvel Mystery Oil.
Yeah, Marvel Mystery Oil is really good, especially with RX-7s. That got my RX-7 like running.
Yeah,
Like,
I swore up and down by that stuff when I had my RX-7.
you that's basically preventative maintenance on a car like that.
Basically, yeah.
So Marvel Mystery Oil is like, it's basically, I want to say it's like an ATF. It's like a detergent.
Sort of. I think it was originally created for motorcycles.
Either motorcycles or planes or something.
It was motorcycles.
Yeah.
And then the good thing, like the reason it works so well in RX-7s and the oil, for instance, is because the way that a rotary runs, just naturally, it burns oil as it cycles. Oh no, I think it was I think it was a supercharger lubricant or something. Some strange, like specific purpose. Anyway, it's meant to be burnt, and so that's why it works so well in an RX-7. And I think that actually prolonged that, and the fact that I was using ethanol-free fuel. Only in my FB, which made fueling up kind of inconvenient. But that stuff is great. It silenced a really bad lifter tick that I had in the Mitsubishi station wagon.
I was about to say in the RX-7, like
yeah.
I don't know.
My
you getting some piston slap in this thing.
But that's fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I had an RX-7 FD that had been sitting in a field for 10 years, and I basically put some Marvel Mystery Oil into the chambers. And all I had to do was change a fuel pump because the fuel pump was all corroded and stuff because the fuel separated from water separated and got it all rusty. But I changed the fuel pump, and the car started right up. It's crazy. But yeah, so I would check the fluids and check the tires. A lot of people don't check tires.
Always check tires.
And you shouldn't check just for tread. Tread is fine.
Dry rot.
Dry rot is I almost want to. I think dry rot might be more important than tread. It's kind of a 50-50. I don't know.
They're both important.
Yeah. So dry rot is something that a lot more people have than they're aware of, I think. Yeah. And people go, oh, these tires are still new and whatever. And meanwhile, the sun is just baking them day after day. So it happens to a lot of cars that are sitting out in the sun. If you leave your car outside, rubber degrades over time.
Yep.
And each tire has a expiration date. So it's 2 numbers. Well, it's 4 numbers really. The first 2 are the week within the year. It's 1 to 52, and then the second number is number 3 and 4 is the year. So on my Teo Proxys R888s on my Lamborghini, it was 2014, so it's the 20th week of the year 2014. And I replaced those because they were degrading a little bit, and I think people, and mine weren't even that bad. They were not like, they're still usable on that car, but I wanted something, for the power that thing is going to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want something that's
fresh.
Yeah. So people need to check the tires. Brakes are, you can definitely check them. You can see if the rotors are being scalped by the pads.
Check for grooves, scoring.
Yeah. Usually it's not that bad because that brakes are a wear item anyway. I just want to make sure it's not squealing and want to make sure it has good pressure. And check for leaks.
Always check for leaks. And so when you were saying about getting under the car with the phone and that sort of thing, I would also recommend getting. I don't know if there's like a technical term, but it's called a mirror on a stick.
Yeah,
one of those telescoping sticks. You jam the mirror in the car and just look around, have a root around.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the car shopping experience is being done during the day, so you have light. Never buy a car in the dark or the rain.
I've done plenty of those.
Okay.
It's always it's hard to say don't buy a car in the rain because sometimes it rains like you don't, and sometimes you buy a car in the dark. Like I've done both, and I've bought a Lamborghini sight unseen. Like it's you get what you pay for sometimes.
That's fair.
But you actually don't need necessarily a mirror on a stick like you're looking for drugs on the Mexican border. You can actually just get a selfie stick and a phone and just record.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Like that's probably what people have instead of like, where the hell am I going to find a mirror on a stick? Like who sells that?
Auto parts store.
Auto parts store sell mirror on a stick?
Yeah.
See, this is why we do this podcast. I'm learning so much. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I would never have like. There's some weird stuff about my life that like there's stuff I should know. Like
absolutely, yeah, same.
It's like if my wife goes like, oh, we need to buy, something. I don't know. Like, I don't know, something to put under the furniture so it doesn't squeak. And I'm like, where do I get that? Like, well, I've no, it's just mind is blank. Like, have no, like, is there a store that sells this? Like, is this Walmart or like, what section would that be in? Like, this is stuff like I should know. Like, oh yeah, just go to the Target and go to the aisle 39. Like, I have no idea. You just told me about the mirror on a stick. I'm like, that seems like something I'd search for an hour on the internet. like,
What are you looking for? I'm looking for a mirror on a stick.
yeah, like what is a mirror on stick? And then, all right, not exactly what I'm looking for, but whatever, it'll do.
This'll do.
Yeah, and then you realize like,
Zip.
oh, it's selling at AutoZone. Oh, I'm a dummy. Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of things I probably should know at my age, but I definitely don't. Yeah. But so you should definitely check under the car. Check common. So
Check like air filter. You want to see, make sure that.
I'm because that's already kind of air filter is something you want to replace in any case if you're buying a used car.
But sometimes people just take the air filter out of their car
And just
don't replace it.
it's just not there.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen airboxes full of like pollen and leaves.
Yeah, my Porsche 944S that I got for $800 had one of those interesting dealies.
Rusty Porsche?
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
rusty Porsche.
Gotcha.
You never want a rusty Porsche. No.
But he's such a good singer.
I know, but he, after he came back, he really went back to his roots. I think that the sophomore album is supposed to be the good one. I think the third album that's the one. Okay, let's get back to
Super committed to this bit. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Also, when you take the car for the drive,
Mm-hmm.
push every button.
Yes. Push every single button. And I mean, just you can act like a kid. You can just what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? And you can get a better idea of what stuff works and what doesn't.
Take a really long time in an Alfa Romeo 164. You ever seen that dashboard?
I have not.
Rows and rows and rows of buttons.
I love the 80s aesthetic where they're like, I know what people will love. 1,000 buttons on their dashboard. It's like that's exactly what this is a wave of the future.
How do I take off my seatbelt? Oh, that's row 7, button 4.
So they watch Star Wars, and people manning the Death Star. They have all these bleeps and blorps, and yeah, they're like we can make cars like that. And then now they're just doing the
and thus the Aston Martin Lagonda was born.
it's like you're playing a freaking piano.
Yep.
Yeah. So the important thing to note, if you're looking for oil leaks, if we're going back to that, know where the oil leak is coming from, to know if it's bad or not. Because a lot of cars have some oil leaks. Valve cover oil leaks aren't that bad, but they tend to look kind of worse than they are. So you have a bad valve cover oil leak, you'll have oil coming down the sides of the engine. If it's a V engine or if it's a inline, then it's just going to come out down one side. And sometimes it gets mixed. It gets burned up by the exhaust. And you'll see like kind of plumes of smoke. That puts off buyers, but for me, that's perfectly fine because I know exactly where it's coming from.
But you can use it as a bargaining tool. Oh,
You
there's
can
a lot of
definitely-
smoke, there's a lot of oil.
Hey man, I don't know. I'm gonna have to take this to the shop. Who knows? I mean, these cars are expensive.
Who knows? These cars are expensive.
Christopher Walken's buying an old Mercedes.
I gotta get it fixed. Wow. There's so much oil.
On the ground.
The engine is black.
That almost sounded. You know what?
Almost like Christoph Waltz.
Almost. You know what it sounded like? It sounded like Daniel Day-Lewis doing a Christopher Walken impression.
I don't know what he sounds like.
Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis has not No Country for Old Men. There Will Be Blood. I
seen it.
drink your milkshake.
I've never seen it.
No, you haven't seen it? Oh, okay.
Does his milkshake bring all the boys to the yard?
No, it's a different kind of milkshake. You'll watch that movie and you'll see it. Yeah. Okay. In any case, if you see a oil leak coming from between the engine and transmission, usually kind of bad.
Rear main seal.
Yeah, that's a rear main seal,
that's
and
no good.
that's also a bargaining tool because if you're handy with tools, you can probably get that done.
Handy dandy, Mr. Andy.
Yeah, that can be done if the car's a manual, then you can do it with a clutch change. So that's not too bad.
Right.
But rear main seal, not real main seal, rear main seal.
Rear main steer.
That's right. The rear main seal is relative. It's a pain in the butt for a lot of people.
It's a pain in the rear.
It's a pain in the rear.
Main seal.
Oh, you're just
The best. I know.
adorable.
Yeah, thanks.
So that's something to look out for. Transmission leaks. Very common ones are the lines that go into the transmission cooler, usually on the radiator. So sometimes those lines split at the flange, and it's super easy to just get some line, just get some regular hose at your auto parts store, and just replace them. Super easy.
I love getting fresh hose.
Exactly, in different area codes. So what?
Man, we're on point.
Yeah.
tonight.
Yes. Also the output shaft seal sometimes that leaks.
Thought you were about to say Al Pacino.
The Al Pacino sometimes leaks, especially when he makes Adam Sandler movies. And rear different. That's right. Al Pacino was in an Adam Sandler movie. Was in Jack and Jill, and the last part of that movie was basically a literal commercial for Dunkin' Donuts. That's if you want to see an interesting thing, look up Jack and Jill scam, and you'll see this Red Letter Media video, and it's really good. They go into a lot of detail about how that movie was simply it's not even meant to be a movie, it's just simply a scam to make money for Adam Sandler. But whatever. Going back to the cars. The rear differential, if the car is rear wheel drive or all wheel drive, you want to check that. Sometimes those weep. If it's a front wheel drive car, then it's all kind of in one package. So the transmission, all that stuff that applies there. But then you'll have the axles, and the axles are underneath the car, and they have boots. Those are called CV, the constant velocity joints.
Always check your boots.
Always check your boots. My boots are busted on my Lamborghini.
Lad, having busted boots is no good.
No.
You gotta get a pair of fresh boots.
So I have to get new boots or
boots.
or new axles.
Are you gonna be new boot goofing? You can do some new boot goofing?
Yeah, goofing on some new boots right there.
Do you know what that's from?
I have no idea.
Reno 911.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. When Lieutenant Dangle gets new boots, he's just new boot goofing.
That was a good show.
Such a good show.
That was a good show. So you definitely want to look at the axles, and I think that's probably it. I mean, obviously radiator hoses and stuff like that. You want to make sure it doesn't weep and things like that. You want to make sure the car gets up to temperature and stays there.
Keep your eye on the gauges.
Yeah, keep your eye on the gauges. But also cars nowadays have really decent cooling systems, and it'll take something really broken to have those gauges go up. So if that gauge starts climbing, like you'll know that something is actually wrong.
Something that's I think is a really good investment, and not just for car buying, but just to own, would be an OBD2 reader. And take that with you, because sometimes the car may have a code and it doesn't throw a check engine light. The codes are deep within the bowels of the car's computer.
An OBD2 reader usually costs around $100, right?
Usually.
So you don't have to buy a $100 thing. You can just buy a $5 little US Bluetooth dongle.
What did you call me?
Well, we can roll back the tape and you can listen to that.
Bluetooth dongle.
I said you were. Yeah.
Boy, I said you was a Bluetooth. I said dongle.
I mean, that word was contentious. All right. Anyway, a Bluetooth dongle. I think I'm not sure what the part number is, but it's
Bluetooth dongle.
I don't know what the part number is. I'm trying to tell them about the dongle, man.
Sorry, you just say all these funny words, and I just want to do things.
So you can. There's an app called Torque.
Oh, yeah. That's the one you have in your SL.
Yeah, that's the one I have in my SL, and
Nice.
you can connect it through the Bluetooth dongle in the car, and you can read not only the OBD2 codes, but you can read everything that the computer is spitting out, basically the coolant and the O2 sensors and all the live data. So
Yeah, slam poetry, like fat beats and hot rhymes.
Exactly, yeah.
Spits out all sorts of cool hot fire.
all sorts of hot fire. It's the mixtape is just the hotness. So
Made in the 80s, get all the ladies riding in my Mercedes.
did you just think of that? Oh my god. Yeah. So it's been a long night, man. It's been a long night.
This is like the bonus podcast. Everyone's gonna like,
it is.
they're gonna get
it's Friday.
It's Friday.
People
We're
just
chilling.
got paid.
Yeah.
Just got paid. I'm gonna go real big tonight. I'm going to Applebee's.
The half off appetizers. So Torque app, definitely get that for your phone, and has a bunch of functionality. I think it's about $5 and $5 for the Bluetooth thing, and you can basically it works just as well as any of the really good OBD2 scanners. I think it doesn't do stuff like specific ABS codes and airbag codes, but that also, you can probably get something that reads that. As far as ABS and airbag codes, a lot of airbag codes are really simple unless the airbags have gone off, which is then you'll have a whole nother issue. But a lot of times the side airbag for the passenger side, the side airbag in their seat, since that seat moves up, forward and back, sometimes that wiring harness gets chafed, and sometimes it just disconnects.
Yeah, so you just throw on some baby powder and no more chafing.
Exactly. So it's no more chafing. You put some Gold Bond on that wiring harness, and
Shout
it
out
should
to
be
Gold Bond.
Exactly. They're a sponsor now. Wrench Every Day, sponsored by Gold Bond.
Because we said so.
Yeah. Sponsored by Metal Musil, right? No.
AARP.
Yes. You just you take off the wiring harness on the bottom, or you just inspect it. Sometimes it's just literally loose. So that should be the majority of it, or it could be the seat sensor on the passenger side, because most new cars have a seat sensor that senses if somebody's in the seat and they turn on or off the passenger side airbag. So based on this, sometimes that sensor, the wires break based on how many people or how much they weigh. They're
What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying listen, go in my car, all the sensors work. You go in your car, I don't know.
All the sensors also work because I've been losing weight.
That's right. Yeah, we both of us have actually been losing a bit of weight. Hopefully you guys can see it. But we have a camera on and it gains 15 pounds, and I think I lost 15 pounds, so it's a wash.
So I've lost almost 30.
Okay, so you're minus 15.
Yeah, I'm
gonna put another camera on you, so you'll
still
be
look good. I still look flair.
all right. Let's settle down. So
I can't, man. It's Friday.
all right. So honestly, I think that's basically it. We've covered a lot on what you should look for.
Have we though?
I think so. I've definitely. We've talked about the outer appearance. We've talked about functionality. We've talked about oil leaks. We talked about suspension. We've talked about rust. We've talked about electronics. We talked about airbags. There's a decent amount there. If somebody can't be like, I don't know if this car is good or not, then maybe you should just go on Google and just research a little more until you realize.
Or just buy a new car, but don't finance it. Or do.
Okay. Anyway, I think that's a really good point to end on.
Is it?
And is it now?
Oh, is it, lad? Well, in that case, let's do the end bit then. Where can they find you?
So, actually, not where you can find me. I'd like you guys to send us your questions for a future podcast, and we can answer them in a 30-minute format, where we will give quips and have lots of tangents and stuff that doesn't make any sense. But hopefully you guys like it. So you can reach us.
Only tangents, though. No sines or cosines.
No. I am going to flip this table. Do you understand that? That's it. This is the last episode of the podcast. It's just going to be a flip table, and that's it. That's a live stream. So you can reach us at iwrencheveryday@gmail.com. That's our email, and I actually like that email quite a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Andrew thought of it.
I recently had a stroke of genius. No one's going to watch this podcast anymore.
No. Is anybody?
Wrench every day? Oh, you mean lame dad joke every day?
I hate that guy, Alex.
Me too, man. Alex he sucks.
All right, so you can reach me at The Real Tavarish. That is Instagram and Twitter. Facebook.com/AskTavarish and AskTavarish@gmail.com is my email. But don't send me any emails about this podcast. Send it to iwrencheveryday@gmail.com. Now, Andrew, where can we find you?
I can be found on Instagram at HeavyMetalFL or on Twitter at 1565. That's the word 15 and the number 65.
Awesome. You know what? I think we should add some sponsors. I've been rearing to go with these sponsors. Hopefully, we get some more viewership and we can do some live reads and we can do some interesting things, because I really love the sultry sound of your voice.
Thank you.
I can hear you say 1565 all day.
1565.
All right, that wasn't as good as I thought it was. But in any case, this is me, Tavarish, for Andrew Howell, saying or reminding you guys to wrench every day.